think historically, I put a lot of weight and value in who I was as a person on my career. And the way I introduced myself was always as a marketer. And I think through my cancer experience, I've had a bit of a reset and new perspective on what matters.
I've got checks to collect, but the debt's so high sometimes I forget and neglect to select girls that I get. Let's bet you won't
All
find me
right,
on a jet,
everyone.
at
This
least
is
on
Bernie.
a personal
Welcome back
basis.
to
Fuck
Tech State
rap,
of
but I act
Mind.
hard on crazes.
For those of
I like
you
life
who
to
have
rock the
followed
boat.
me and my journey in this space, I've done a bunch of different podcasts, and I know I promised people that I'd come back and bring on some great guests to the podcast. And hey, I got an amazing first guest on this podcast. And for those of you who know what we like to do here, we like to talk about tech, we like to talk about career journeys, talk about transitioning into the space and the lessons that we've learned along the way that have made us the people who we are. And I've got the absolute best guest, Siobhan Mondesire-Jukes. Um, we met a couple of years ago when she heard about what we were doing at Black Mint and jumped in head first and did an amazing job. But we'll get into that as during the course of the interview. But to give her her flowers, she's the VP of marketing at Loopio. She has her own podcast, the Gimme Lemons podcast, which is a absolutely amazing pod. I listened to the episodes that have come out, and we'll talk about that and the story behind that. She was Black Marketer of the Year award given to her by Obsidy. She's a mother, a wife, a business owner, absolutely amazing human being, genuine soul. Siobhan, Chevy, welcome to the pod. How you doing?
Good. Oh my gosh, what an intro. Gonna get me teary-eyed and we just started.
That's my aim. If I can get people to start crying first, and then they're gonna spill their guts to the amazing episode. So well,
Sure.
I'm glad that you said yes. Thank you for doing that. It means a lot. So the way I want to start this pod is by getting you to introduce yourself, but I kind of want to do it in the interview format because that's the first question that comes up, right? Like people who listen to this are going to be concerned about careers and navigating interview process as well as everything else to do with navigating a career in tech. So if you don't mind, tell me about yourself the way that you would if this was a job interview.
Wow, no pressure. Well, I would start by saying my name is Siobhan Mondesire-Jukes. I have been in marketing for about 16 years, and that is wild to say, and kind of ages me, and I don't like to think about it. I'm a mom and I'm a wife. I'm a cancer survivor as well. I recently got my all clear from the doctor, which I'm super excited about. I'm really passionate about animals and animal advocacy. I'm passionate about mentorship and coaching, especially young moms who are looking to break into tech. That's really important to me as a mom who is finding that balance. And I'm also a business owner. So we are recently opened a family entertainment center. We'll be doing our grand opening shortly in the next coming months. And I have always wanted to be a marketer. I've been doing it, like I said, for 16 years. I started as a writer, got really into the analytics side of things, and basically worked my way up from B2C all the way to the strategy within the B2C agencies, and then made the transition to in-house B2B tech because that's where the money is. I wouldn't say that in an interview. That's where the money is.
You know what? Some people wouldn't mind you for that in an interview. So that's where the money is. Okay. All right. That you guys, you heard that here first. B2B tech, that's where the money is. So before we get into our topics, let's do a game of this or that. Yeah. I don't think this will help people get to know you better, but also, hey, people might actually get a better idea of where the money is and where the opportunities are by playing this game. So, startup or big tech?
Big tech.
Big tech. Okay. Why big tech over startups? I'm curious.
Well, I think it depends on what you're looking for in your career. So, startups are fun because you have a lot of autonomy. There's no real structure, and you get to build from the ground up. You get to create the structure that's there. But there's not a lot of security in startups. There's a lot of startups that fail. But again, if you're doing your job right and if you believe in the product that they're developing, you can find a lot of success there and you can be there from the ground up. Big tech, on the other hand, there is a lot of security there, although recently we've seen a lot of layoffs in different companies. So I'd say traditionally there's a lot of security in big tech. And for me personally, there is a lot of opportunity when it comes to budgets. So as a marketer, we're often seen as a cost center. And so budgets can be tight when you're at smaller companies because they're trying to hit what we call like the rule of 40. And that's how you make sure that your business is profitable. And so the first place they typically like to cut is marketing. The more established a business is, the less likely you are to be losing your budget and the more opportunity you have for creativity and trying different things and testing and learning.
Mhm. I think that makes, I resonate with that. I worked at a startup, my second job, my career, and it was wild. It was crazy. You do all the things. It was fun. Luckily, there was an exit, but it can easily go the other way, right?
Yeah.
And in fact, I've been on the other side of that later on in my career, where I got laid off because it didn't go. The company's still going, but it didn't go the way that we all thought it was going to go. So there's sort of high risk, high reward in that space for sure. Absolutely. Next one. I think I know the answer for you, but remote forever or hybrid with a great office?
Okay, if you had asked me up until like 2 weeks ago, I would have said remote forever. As a mom and someone who, when I went back to work, I had to commute 4 hours a day to my job, which meant my son was sleeping when I left the house, and then he would be sleeping when I got home from work. So I never got to see him. So being remote meant that I get to spend more time with my family and my son, and that was really important for me. That being said, as we talked about, my husband has recently started going back to work. So I'm alone all day because my son is in school and my husband's at work, and I am lonely and bored. So I think hybrid with a really cool office would be great as long as I don't have to commute far.
Right, right. That human interaction becomes important at that point. Or, yeah, I hear that. I hear that. Yeah, you know what? Funny enough about remote work, I work longer hours when I'm remote because I'm like my desk is here. My commute is 30 seconds effectively, and then you just get in the zone. Whereas when you're around people, it's like, oh, let's grab a coffee. We might even walk and talk about work or something like that, right? Like,
Yeah. I do think you lose the, like, the learning aspect when you're isolated from people and you have to be so intentional about your conversations and booking meetings with them, which everyone knows we have booking, like, meeting fatigue. Um, I think that when you're in person, the creativity sparks a lot easier and the learning happens a lot more, but I don't know which weighs out better, if the pros or cons are better on either side.
no, I hear you on that. I hear you on that. Okay, last one. I want to ask you: do you prefer being a specialist or a generalist?
Oh, that's a great question. I think it depends what level you're at in your career. As a leader, I have to be a generalist. I have to know a little bit about everything in marketing and business, to be honest, like about our business. I have to know a little bit about everything in order to collaborate with my peers, with leadership, and be able to communicate effectively to my team why we need to be doing the work that we're doing and be able to communicate effectively to leadership why the work that my team is doing provides value to the business. So I think being a generalist at my level is important. However, when you are starting your career and when you're early on, being a subject matter expert and being a specialist in something can give you job security if you are the best at what you do and no one can replace you. So I would say it depends on the levels. If you want to continue to grow into leadership, you do have to be able to speak to the value of everything. But I think as you're starting your career out, it's really important to be really specialized.
I'm with you 100%. I'm with you 100%. I When I was at IBM and I became very specialized, and I was literally the only one in the company who could do the particular thing I was doing. my career went like this.
Yeah.
I became valuable, right? To the point that now I'm a little bit of a specialist, but I'm broader in what I do. So it's 100%. I'm with you on that. If you've got a skill set, like maximize that thing to the core, and then you can branch out a little bit more for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. There are many more I could ask you, but I want to get into some of the meat and potatoes of things here. So as I said early in my intro, you were the marketer of the year, I think 2024. Is that it?
It was 2023 actually. Or was it 2024? Maybe it was 2024. I don't know what year it is.
I know I voted. That's all I know. I know I voted.
I'll have it right here. It's 2023.
Nice, nice. 2023. So how did you get into marketing? And were you always how'd you get into marketing, and were you always in marketing in, within tech, or what was your journey like?
Yeah, so I started in marketing as an intern for an agency and I was a writer. My job was to write blogs and work on like content farms, which is essentially you would buy a bunch of domains that were relevant to whatever product you wanted to sell and then write a bunch of SEO content on it to help it rank on Google. Can't really do that now, but like that was SEO when I started out. And so that's what I did. I did that for 9 months, and then they hired me on full time. It was my first, like, real job out of university, and I was at that company for about a year, and then from there, I jumped to another small agency. Actually, I was at 2 more small agencies after that, and then I got my big break at a big international agency, which was my dream job. So I was working on, I owned all of Johnson& and Johnson, so I got to work on Aveeno, Aveeno Baby, Johnson's Baby, Tylenol, Benylin, like, all of those cool brands, and I was in charge of all of their SEO, and I realized really quickly, 1, I was getting bored of doing the same thing all the time, and I was more excited about learning and working closer with the customers and understanding, like, the why and what they were trying to accomplish, and then creating solutions for that. So one of the things I did at the agency is I created something which we called the page relevancy analysis, which is sounds super nerdy, but it was a way for us to connect SEO to paid search that we hadn't done historically, package that up, and actually sell it to the brands to pay for. And in the agency world, it was quite siloed, the different functions within, like, the marketing agency. So your SEO and your paid search, we were not friends. Like, we did not speak the same language. And I wanted to be the bridge between that. And then I heard a woman speak named Cynthia, and she was the VP of strategy at the agency. And I heard her speak, and I said, I have to work for her. So I made it my life mission to get on her team. I eventually did. I was there for just over 2 years. I had my son during that time as well. And then after that, one of my direct reports, he had left to go to a different company. He went B2B. And he called me 6 months later and was like, please come be my boss again. And I was like, okay. So then I jumped and I went to be his boss. And then I was there for almost 5 years. And then now I'm at Loopio.
Nice, nice.
Pretty
So
it's marketing through and through.
it's marketing through and through, but you went from agency where you had, big CPG company, Johnson Johnson, I think you said, right? Like
Yeah, John.
that was your big client. Yeah, and you created value because you effectively created something that didn't exist, right? Which wasn't what was that it wasn't really part of your day job, right? Like you went sort of outside
Yeah.
day job to do that.
Yeah, and the big thing for me is I had an amazing champion. So the managing director of the agency, Matt, was amazing. He was the one that hired me and he saw my potential and championed everything that I did. So he actually carved out time in my day and in my week where I was allowed to work on my side projects that I would just come up with cool ideas and build things and test them with my clients and then we would package them and sell them. And that just, like, got me excited to build something from scratch.
And that's really, really important, right? Because we see the LinkedIn posts all the time about, a manager versus a leader, right? And what the characteristics of each is supposed to be. And in this case, this is what this person was, because he was almost getting out of your way, right? Like, gives you what you need to enable you to be the rock star that you are, and kind of gets out the way to let you shine and do your thing, which not everyone has. A lot of people have managers who say, do this and do that, right? So that must have been like extremely important to who you ultimately became, right?
Oh, yeah, like, he is the example I always use when I think about a great leader. There was no ego, there was no worry about, someone beneath him showing him up or doing better work than him. It was like he found success in my success, and so he just wanted to empower me to continue to do that, and ultimately, the business found success with that as well. So yeah, he is still to this day he actually lives in BC now as well, but still to this day, someone I quote regularly and think about when I'm, mentoring other people.
Mhm. That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, you mentioned one of your direct reports went to, I think it's Vena, we're talking about now, went to Vena and was like, hey, come be my boss. So whatever Matt did rubbed off on you, because you were a great leader for this person, and they were like, how interesting it is for them to be like, hey, come be my boss. Like, from somewhere else. That's just an amazing thing to think about, right? Um, so he rubbed off on you, but then you're now looking at potentially going from consumer packaged goods to tech. Did you think about that in your decision making process, and or were you just like, this sounds cool, I'm just gonna do this? Like, what was the driving factor there?
And there was 2 driving factors. One was the salary. So, transparently, in agency world, they don't pay you very well. The benefit that you get are great benefits, culture, you get access to, like, go to LinkedIn, go to Google, like, hang out with Snapchat, like, it really is, like, about the culture at those places, but you don't get the best salary. I went to B2B tech because I doubled my salary,
No.
doubled it by taking a job. So, like, that was a huge deal as a single income family, to be able to do that. So that was one of the reasons. The second was the CMO at the company. When she was speaking to me, and this is something I joke about with my team a lot, I want to feel stupid. Because if I am not the smartest person in the room, that means I get to learn. And I mean, I hire people that are smarter than me. I wanna be surrounded by people that are smarter than me. I don't wanna be the smartest person in the room. And when I was on a phone call with her, I was like, "I have no idea what she's talking about. I have to work for this person."
Hmm.
That was and I went,
Yeah, I hear that all the time as well, right? Like, I think either Jeff Bezos or someone like that said, like, surrounding yourself with smart people is one of the most important things you can do as a leader. But I don't even think that just applies to leaders. To your point, hey, if you want to grow in your careers, you got to be around smart people. Like, hope you got to be smart as well, but so that you can learn and grow and be able to contribute as well, right? Because to me, it's like, I've been in those rooms with people where I was like, what are you talking about? And I'm sitting there like, I want to get to a point where they can see me on their level as well. That means that I've grown as well. Was that part of that feeling too?
yeah, that was I knew I was gonna grow and I was gonna be challenged, and I wasn't being challenged anymore at the agency. Um, I felt like the gold star. I was winning awards. I felt like I had hit my peak there, and I needed to go somewhere where it was a new challenge for me. And so it was. I went in there, I didn't know what an MQL was. I didn't know what pipeline was. I didn't know, like, any of the terms that I know now. So I feel like a more well-rounded marketer because of that experience.
Mhm. And how long did it take you to adjust and feel comfortable? Was there, let me back up. Was there any form of imposter syndrome? Because you're getting in the room with people and you're like, these people are smarter than me. This is a different culture, different industry. Like, was there imposter syndrome? And if so, how did you overcome that?
Ooh, there's always imposter syndrome. This is my second time being a VP of marketing at a company, and I'm coming up on 1 year, and I feel like I've just gotten to the point of being like, I know what I'm talking about. I am a really smart person. Um, but imposter syndrome for sure was there. I think it took me probably 6 months. And it doesn't matter how much people tell you that you're making the right decisions, you'll just have a moment where it clicks when you're like, "Okay, I know what I'm doing. Like, I get this. I'm confident making these decisions," but it has to come from you.
Mhm. Yeah, I think in and I don't think it's specific to tech exactly, but I think that 6-month period, like, it's probably about right. I mean, I know when I moved into consulting, I didn't even know, they say, like, you get to learn where the bathroom is, and I'm like, "How do I use this system or that system?" And it's just there's a lot, right? And in tech in particular, where there's so many different tools that you're expected to learn, it can take a while. It can definitely
It
take
can
a
take a while too because there's not only the business and the culture and the metrics that you have to learn, you have to learn the product, which for a marketer who's just, a sunshine and rainbows person, having to understand fintech or having to understand response management systems is like, that's a learning curve, and you have to be so intentional about making the time to learn the product because it is not just going to, like, fall in your lap that you're gonna understand it. You have to proactively do it.
Eh, and just on that, pulling that thread a little bit, you know, Vena, Loopio, B2B tech companies, you gotta know the product inside out. In the agency world, is it more about understanding the brand than understanding the products themselves? Or what's the difference there?
Yeah, I would say when you're in B2C, it's about the consumer. I need to understand, Bernie as an individual and what is going to inspire you to buy something? Why do you make the decisions that you make when you're buying shampoo or clothes or a car? What is going to influence that decision for you? And how can I highlight the product in a way that speaks to you? And we would cluster different personas of people. So it's really about understanding the audience and putting the product in front of them in a way that speaks to them. I'd say in B2B, you're still trying to speak to the persona. I'd say it's a little bit more complicated because the buying committee is so large. So I am not talking to just moms, or I'm not just talking to, teenagers that are buying skincare. I am talking to a CFO. I'm talking to a VP of sales. I'm talking to a content specialist. There's all these people that are part of the journey and all of them influence the decision. So you have to create messaging and understand the pain points that they're experiencing. And the pain points they experience is different at each stage of the buying cycle, and there's different intent signals as well. So it's just a more complicated, like, buyer journey.
I love that you mentioned the buyer persona because um I've taught a lot of people sales and customer success, and we talk about really understanding the buyer and the buying committee. Because in tech, it's not as if like one director can just decide to buy, sometimes under a certain threshold, but enterprise software, it's usually security has to be involved, and IT has to be involved, and legal has to be involved, and there's lots of different people. You got to understand the rhythm of their business, right? And that can present its own problems. But I'm sure coming from the agency world into B2B tech, it's like you're now dealing with the issue of, hey, this person's trying to use this, Vena for, it's an Excel sort of plugin tool for this particular problem that they need to solve or set of problems. And I can imagine as someone who does not like Excel that we're having to understand the product was like, what is going on? Because I don't like it. And I'm like, what is this? Like this is a whole different world. So but getting to grips with it in 6 months, you know what? That's actually short, bro.
Well, you know what? Like I said, I was at at Loopio. I was at Vena for almost 5 years, and this is a running joke with someone I used to work there. I still don't know the product 100%. I was still learning things about it. So it takes a long time, and it just depends on the product. Just some are easier than others to understand. Some are more straightforward. But yeah, I think that Vena, for example, was a tough one. I'm definitely grasping Loopio a lot more.
Okay. So, Sherry, I saw a post that you put up a couple of months ago talking about how earlier in your career you were like maniacally obsessed with being a chief marketing officer, CMO. I think by a certain age. I can't remember if you had that limit or not. And in that post, it was sort of a post about growth and sort of being flexible and changing mindset a little bit. And you're no longer sort of obsessed with that. Um, what Tell me more about sort of your plan, because some people are real, they're planners and they got I gotta do this, I gotta do this. And some people are more, I'm just gonna go with it and see where it takes me. Where are you now on that spectrum, and what was the motivator behind that?
Yeah, it definitely was by an age. When I was younger, it was director by an age, senior director by an age, VP by an age, and CMO by an age. And I would like to just toot my own horn and say that I have hit every milestone thus far that I've set for myself. The next one is obviously CMO. And I think historically, I put a lot of weight and value in who I was as a person on my career. And the way I introduced myself was always as a marketer. And I think through my cancer experience, I've had a bit of a reset and new perspective on what matters in life and what makes me happy. I'm still obsessed with marketing and winning and doing cool work and hitting targets. Those are things that are still important to me, but they don't make up all of me. And I think for a long time, I was missing that balance between who I was outside of work and who I was inside of work. So I still want to be a CMO. If I don't become a CMO, that would suck. Michael Wazzy, if you're listening to this, I still want to be a CMO. I tell him every day. I'm probably his biggest nightmare. But I understand that I can still make an impact and I can still find success in other ways. And I think my success was also tied a lot to myself, to be honest. I wanted to achieve this thing. I wanted to grow. I wanted to be a CMO. And what I realized, especially in the last 3 years, is when I'm most excited is when I'm mentoring and teaching and collaborating with people. I love, as you can tell, I'm a certified yapper. I love talking to people. I love sharing my experience. That's what brings me joy. Being authentic to who I am brings me joy. I'm not what you would traditionally see as someone who is a VP or a CMO. I would say I'm a bit of a marshmallow, and the CMOs that I have worked with are a little bit tougher than I would say that I am. But it doesn't negate the fact that I am an expert and I'm really good at what I do. And so, yeah, I think it's just weighted less for me now. I would love to be a CMO, but I'd also love to go scuba diving. I would also love to climb a mountain like Mount Everest. Who knows? I just think there's a lot more I could accomplish in life other than just a career.
Mm. No, I think that really resonates with me. I wonder, do you think that being in B2B tech allows you to, I'm gonna say, have the best of both worlds, in a sense where you can have the, should I call it, the privilege of being able to think about how to balance life more so, than the agency space, or is that, does that balance exist in the agency space? Because for context, there lots of people I talk to, they see the promises of the lifestyle in tech where, like, oh, I can work from anywhere, and there's better work life balance. Not always true, but and that can let me go chase passion projects and like fulfill the other side of myself that I maybe couldn't have done before. Do you believe that's more true in B2B tech, or that opportunity exists sort of anywhere?
I think it exists in both. I think what the variable is the function that you're in. If you are in a go to market revenue driven function like marketing or sales or CX, it is less likely you're going to have the balance that you're looking for because you are chasing a target monthly, you are chasing goals quarterly, and it is your team that has to hit those goals. This might be a hot take, and maybe it's just because I'm in marketing. If you are more on the engineering side, if you're developing a product, you do have timelines. I would say your timelines are longer and less immediate than those of the revenue side of things. And I'm sure people in product would probably totally argue with me on that and have a different perspective. And of course, I can only speak from experience. My experience is being on revenue, you have to be hungry, you have to be chasing, and to grow and find success, especially early in your career, that balance sometimes can be a little off.
Mhm. I don't disagree, and that product take is not a hot take to me because I understand it coming from sales and, on being on the other side, because I used to see my product guys as my bottleneck. I'm like, "Hey, a client needs this. For you to add this to the product, or you to make this change or update this," and they're like, we'll put it on our roadmap." I'm like, "What?" So, sometimes it's, "I'll let you know," right? And I'm like, "Come on, guys, like, I got a number to hit, and if you do this, I can hit that number." But I'm sure they have their own pipeline and all sorts of things going on, but I can't appreciate it, right? Because of my own experience. So I'm with you on.
Yeah, and there will always be healthy tension between all the different functions and departments because they're interconnected. Like it's just naturally going to happen. But I think if you're looking for something fast paced, definitely go to market, anything revenue driven. And I would say if you're looking to build and really like, I guess, hyper focus on something, like maybe a product or an engineering role is a better fit.
Mhm. I got you. I got you. Okay, one other thing I'm curious about, because it's sprung up on us all of a sudden, is AI, and how is AI impacting the work that you do, either positively or negatively?
And when you say the work that I do you mean me as a marketer and how we leverage AI, or do you mean me as a function within a business that is competing with AI?
Ooh. I want to hear about that too, but you as a marketer.
Yeah, I would say that AI is awesome as a marketer. It is awesome as a marketer if you are a marketer who wants to learn and grow and evolve. That is when it's cool. If you are scared to change, I think that it's really easy for certain roles in marketing to be, I don't want to say like afraid, but they could be afraid for their roles being replaced by AI. And what I say to my team is we want you to use AI. It's going to make you move faster and do more. And that's kind of the calling card to all B2B companies is do more with less. You know, get less money, but drive more results, less people, but do more work. And AI allows you to do that. I think there's this negative connotation associated and negative feelings associated with AI in some functions and some workplaces where it's like, if I'm using AI, I'm cheating, but you're not. Like, you're getting paid for an outcome. I don't care how you get to that outcome. I want the outcome to be good and delivered on time, and I want it to drive the impact that it needs to drive. How you get there doesn't matter to me. And so, leveraging AI so that you can do more and do it faster and have someone to collaborate with in that way, I would say it's an amazing thing, but I do see a lot of hesitation from people not wanting to adopt it and evolve.
Mm. No, I hear you on that. I was one of those people who was like, "I feel like I'm cheating. I feel like I'm not doing it myself." And then that was me 2 years ago. I was like, "I just wanna do it. I just wanna do it." And I have a problem with just letting go in general, but, adding AI to my workflow is really really like maybe more productive. And for you specifically, what do you use AI for? Like what specific tasks or work patterns do you use it for?
I mean, I use it in everything that I'm doing. Sometimes it can be something as simple as like I'm running a marketing all hands. What's a great structure that's going to provide value to my team? And it spits out like, here's a great structure for you. That is just like one really simple way. Using it for writing as well. We create gems that, mimic our tone and understand like our product. And then that allows us to move quicker on like producing content. Like that's a really easy one. A lot of marketing is content. We use it for brainstorming and coming up with like ideas. It's a running joke on one of the girls on my team. She's always like, I'm just hanging out with like my girl ChatGPT and brainstorming. You guys are like, she's not your friend. Um, and so we use it for that as well. And there's some of the, I don't want to say behind the scenes work, but like using Google Ads, using things like LinkedIn Ad Manager, all of that is powered by various different AIs. And it's like we don't think about it, but it's like we've been doing it for a while. I think like the big difference is in what people might not necessarily understand how to leverage right now is agents in their workflows and agents in their day to day. But I think like AI for me is like table stakes. If you're not using it, then like what are you doing? Well, that's why you're not getting all your work done, in my opinion. We also use it for reporting, like reporting. You have a report and getting in it, like we have an AI called Odin that we use through Hockey Stack. Shout out to Hockey Stack. And you can say, "Hey, how did this campaign perform?" And it'll go pull all the data for you and give a summary of the campaign, and then it'll explain what you could be doing differently and better to improve on that campaign. It's like, great. That's the job of an analyst. Ha
That's very cool.
great.
Wow. Oh, okay. That's a use case I hadn't thought about before. That was a cool one.
Oh, it's yeah. And I, have to give my flowers to our director of product marketing, Vilo at Loopio. He said and he challenges his team, and he said to me, he's like, "If an intern can do the job, you should be figuring out how to get AI to do that job."
Mm.
And I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's true because we're not getting more headcount. We just don't have it. A lot of companies don't have it right now. Um, but we still are expected to like hit the goals and hit the targets and produce the volume of work that we're supposed to produce."
Mm. And so with that, sort of if an intern can do it, then figure out how AI can do it. I know Shopify had a memo that either leaked or they published it willingly. I don't remember which, talking about no new hires unless you can justify how um, AI cannot do that particular job or those responsibilities. Um, and I had a couple mentees reach out to me and say, should I still be trying to get into tech if, you know, an internship role can be automated or entry level development jobs are not going to be a thing? What do you think about that? And what advice do you have for, you know, maybe our former black mentees, by the way, who are now all going to university? Um,
Oh my gosh, that's we're
I
old.
I couldn't believe it. I got an email from one of them being like, "Hey, can you give me a letter of recommendation?" I was like, "Oh, what? I can't believe it." And it's their future I'm thinking about in terms of what advice would you give to someone either transitioning in similar how you did from agency to B2B tech or a young grad trying to get into the space, considering what we know about AI, what would you tell them?
I would say, and we kind of talked about it, like this being specialized and knowing something really well. There are a lot of people that are currently employed that do not want to change and evolve and do not want to adapt to the times. I would say for young people, be that person. How do you come in and say, yes, I haven't done this role before, but here's how I leveraged AI to whether it's like a content writing role, develop a website. You can develop a whole website with AI. You don't even need developers anymore. So it's how do you intentionally go out and find the opportunities to learn and create those experiences that you can share when you're interviewing. And I would say for myself personally, and this is again another running joke that people have about me, I hire on vibes. Don't quote them. I hire on vibes because I can teach you what I know. I can't teach you to be someone who's hungry and wants to try and go out and learn and who will come to me with like, "Hey, I didn't know how to do this thing, so I went and figured it out and now I have a solution and I've created a process for it that I can share with my team so they can learn how to do it too." That to me is way more valuable than someone who has 2, 3 years experience actually in the field. I want someone who I know I can trust and he's gonna get the job done. He's gonna grow and learn. And through our work that we're doing with the Family Entertainment Center, not obviously in B2B tech, but I'm doing a lot of hiring. And we have hiring for managers that we're doing, and we have hiring for what we call floor staff. So they're younger people, like high school students. And what gets me so excited is when I look at the resumes of high school students versus people my age that are applying for manager roles, the students are crushing it. They have zero experience, but one, you can tell they're leveraging Canva. They're using templates. They're using AI to pull language from the job posting into their resume. They're connecting the dots between their experience, like whether it's being on the volleyball team or on student council or babysitting, and applying that to what we're trying to accomplish with the role that they're applying for. So, being smart in that way and being a go getter and leveraging the tools around you, that I'm like, I have goosebumps right now. That gets me excited.
I hear that. Hey, so what I'm hearing is if you've got good vibes, you know, if you got if Lupio's hiring or wherever you end up in the future is hiring and someone's got good vibes, come your way. Like you're 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 willing to listen because I think that makes sense. Like I think you can teach people stuff. Like you can teach people the product, teach people sort of the role, but can I know that if I'm not around, you can do what needs to be done to get, you know, to make things happen. That is really, really important, right? So
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm very similar. If I've worked with you and I know that you're coachable, and those are the people I'm like, hey, I got this job I'm hiring for. It's gonna go out, but hey, just letting you know because I liked you, right?
But I feel like that is something it's so important. It's like, can I trust you? Do I know that you're going to try really hard? Like, those are the things that matter.
Mm. No, I agree. I absolutely agree. And you know, I think giving people a chance outside of the sort of regular schmegular of, 10 years of experience doing this and doing that, they'll be all right. Those people will be all right. Like if we give people a chance to grow, then like we're only doing the world a service, I think. Uh, uh,
Yeah, and I feel like that's what happened for me. For a long time, I was always the youngest in the room or the person with the least amount of experience, but I always wanted to learn and be the best, and I would raise my hand and try really hard. And like that's how I moved up. I wanted to be the person that was the expert. So I think yeah, that's a great quality to have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, Sherry, I'm gonna let you go on this note. And it's probably the thing that um I'm gonna say inspires me the most when it comes to you. Now, firstly, I mentioned it in the beginning, but like I said, I'll say it again. I don't remember how you heard about Black Mint, or I don't know if Toby said he met you or something. I don't remember. But I remember that when you came in and you know how that thing you said when your boss started talking and you were like, this person is the smartest person I've ever seen in my life. When you started talking, I was like, this person is the smartest person I've ever met in my life. I need this person with us. Like I was like, I offer her anything. I don't care. Like put her on the board. I don't care. Like this person's amazing. And the work that you did with us was absolutely sensational. Not just on the marketing side, people. She was mentoring people, created sort of a course and a program that we put I think two kids through. It was an internship and they're doing great. Jaden's doing great. I can't remember the other student that we had through that, but these are the things that I look at. the progress of these, 'cause I keep in touch with them, of these kids. I'm like, wow, you're doing such a great job. And those who you worked with in particular did an awesome job. And that's only number one of the things that inspires me about you. The second is just everything that you've been through health wise. Well, with cancer and sort of getting through that, which is something that has personally touched me and my family, in the sort of negative or the extreme negative way, but just seeing you and your strength, and you talked about off air, just literally working through your recovery. And I'm not going to say too much because you got a whole podcast where you talk about that. So I want people to go to the Give Me Lemons podcast. On Instagram, it's at Give Me Lemons podcast. If I got that wrong, let me know. Go listen, because anything I say will not do this thing justice and your story justice. But I want to give your flowers because I was, following, listening, and seeing you go to work, be a mom, take care of your friends, take care of your family. And I believe the last story I saw, if I'm not mistaken, is that you're all clear or there's no sign or something.
Yeah, no find cancer after almost 3 years.
Made my day. You have no idea. That made my day. Congratulations on that. I know it was, hey, like I said, you're an inspiration to me, an inspiration to many others. And I think for many people, trying to navigate your career while going through that seems like a gargantuan impossible task. You did it, and I don't know if you feel stronger for it or not, but you are an inspiration to me and to many others. And please, people, I implore you to go check out her story. If there's anything you want to add about that, because I think I've just gone off on a huge well, like praising you for this. Anything that you want to say to people about that, please feel free to do that now.
Yeah, I would say that there are no there's no Olympics for suffering. That's something that we say in the cancer community. There's no Olympics for suffering. So, although in my story I did work through going through treatment, that was out of necessity for my family. And I do not want anyone who's hearing this or experiencing any type of health, whether it's physical or mental health challenges that they're going through, to feel like you have to power through. And I would implore employees to advocate and employers to listen, that like we have to make it easier for people who are going through things to be able to take the space that they need to take in order to get themselves well. Because I know for me personally, like I said, out of necessity, in order to continue to support my family, I needed to work. And I wish that wasn't the case. I wish I could have taken the time. But I would just say when it comes to careers, and whether you're the person hiring or person making the benefits packages or someone choosing to work somewhere, like it is really important to understand how people treat and how businesses treat employees when they're at their worst.
Mm. I totally agree with
Yeah.
you. Totally agree with you. Um, I ask a question before we end every podcast. Um, when you look back on your career so far, what's mattered the most? The skills you deliberately built, or the opportunities that you didn't plan for but chose to say yes to?
Oh gosh, I think again, if you asked me that like 3 years ago, it'd be a different answer. Now I would say it's saying yes. The opportunities, the unexpected things, just not being afraid to say yes and just doing it and see what happens. And something I feel like I always say is just like, what's the worst that could happen? Really, like if you think about it, what's the worst that's going to happen? And then what's the best that could happen out of that if you said yes?
I love that.
And yeah, I feel like the best is always going to be better. So just do it.
I absolutely love that, because everyone always says, "What's the worst that could happen?" But like, what's the best that could happen? We don't think about that enough. So I love that you said that. That makes all the sense in the world. Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, Siobhan Mondesire-Jukes. Siobhan, thank you so much for doing this. I knew this was going to be fantastic. Anything you want to plug? Anywhere anyone can find you, or anything you want to let the people know about?
No, I would say I connect with me on LinkedIn. Make sure to listen to the podcast. There's lots of trigger warnings, though. Um, and I am open to conversations. If you need someone to read your resume, if you need to prepare for an interview, if you just want advice, like I would love the opportunity to connect with more people and give back.
Awesome. You heard it here first, people. Connect with her on LinkedIn. Please do that. And by the way, if you do that, one thing I will tell you as someone who has taught people about networking, don't just send a random, hey, looking to connect thing. Personalize it. Please have a look at her profile. Make this a mutually valuable thing here. Do your research, please. Don't just reach out and say random stuff. Okay, please. Like, you got to make it worth everyone's time. Awesome. All right. Chevy, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.